We go fly to Moscow and then fly to Russia, fly to St. Petersburg.
Wow.
And while we're there, Sergey introduced us to Yuri, and Yuri was the curator of Peter the Great's Edged collection. They opened up the back vault of the Hermitage Museum for Carlos and me for 6 hours.
Wow.
And Yuri's like, you can handle anything you'd like. Put these special gloves on me. He's like, pick something out, I'll tell you about it. Pick out something. So I pick out this beautiful samurai sword. It's got carved dragons and ivory. And I showed it, and he goes, you got great taste. Right? And it was a gift from the Emperor of Japan to Peter the Great. And like that, to me, was super, super cool.
So it was such a appreciation for the art in it, or I guess the artistry and the pieces themselves. Like, how do you keep from getting attached to them and be able to pass those through?
Well, it goes back to the family. It gets back to I love what I do. I love the items that I sell, but it's such a small group of people that it's what I have to do in order to keep the balls and all the things. If I was a multi-millionaire, maybe I wouldn't have to. I would just create galleries and museums for these items.
Yeah.
But it's my job to be a steward, to find them, to help people who've appreciated them, to recapture their value and to pass it on to the next person. And the beauty of it is I keep records of everything. So there's been many times that I've contacted people and gotten pieces back. I commissioned a piece for a client of mine, and it was a King Tut knife, and there was over 7 ounces of 24 karat gold in the piece alone. And the engraver is no longer engraving today. And at the time it was $25,000 just for the engraving, not to mention all the gold. And I was able to purchase that piece back. And I've been offered over $40,000 for that knife. And I'm like, no, I'm not selling it for that. If you want it, you're going to have to pay for it. So there are times that I have things that, if I don't get my number, I don't care. It's mine. I'm enjoying it. But then there comes a time where we got, gymnastics fees, we got hockey fees, we got, everything else that, there are times that I have to let things go. And, I know they're going to good homes. So that's the best part of it, I would say.
Yeah. So do you consider yourself a collector?
Yeah. Look at my place.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. My wife is very happy that I have the office, especially not having her.
She doesn't want that in the living room.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I am a collector, and I've been very blessed in life. I've like visiting the fine art museums. When I saw this piece, I couldn't pass it up. And it's not because she's naked, but the artist's ability to capture things like the toes, the sheen along the legs, to me, these are things that not every artist has the ability to do. If you study a true artist, to see the ability to do the hands, legs, and feet, anyone can do beautiful breasts, right? So.
I like it. What's, if you don't mind talking about it, what's the most expensive piece you've ever purveyed? And then two, like, now that you've been doing it for a long time, can you talk about the margins in the industry?
Sure, without question. The most expensive knife that I've ever sold was a Michael Walker Shark's Tooth blade lock zipper. It sold to a collector in another country. So not only did he have to pay the upfront fee for it, but he had to pay the exchange rate, which was not in his favor. Plus he had to pay the VAT. So that piece exceeded $100,000. And that's before all of those things. And it exceeded $125,000 if we want to even go higher, which it did, right? The most in the custom knife world, there is no true wholesale and there's no true retail.
Right.
What I mean by that is when you look at jewelry, right, and clothing, you'll see that clothing is like 200 or 300% profit margin, right? And that's typically in the beginning when they get in the items. But there's so much profit on the front of those that they can have deep discounts on the end where they're giving the stuff away and they're still making money. In the knife world, getting back to when I was calling the knife makers, right, and asking them to say, listen, I'm Michael Donato. I'm creating a company of knife purveyor. Well, I guess I didn't know I was creating. I'm a knife purveyor at the time, right?
Right.
I said, do you offer any type of discounts? You have knife makers that don't offer any discount whatsoever. The price is the price. You had makers that were offering 10%, 15%, 20%. 20% is usually the highest that I ever negotiated with somebody. But that's on buying multiple pieces. Let's say I bought 3 knives from Scott Sawby at a 20% discount. If it was $1,000 knife, I got it for $800. So my goal would be to offer it for at least $1,000 his price, but add something on top, because you have to have margin. Without margin, most people want to feel good about the items that they're purchasing, right? So I would say that industry standard on a consignment basis is 25%. 25% of whatever the item sells for. So let's say, for instance, this particular thing right here is, I really think it should be selling for $800. I would tell the person, the reserve price is $800, and I would ask $1,000. So that way there's negotiation room between what the list price is and the reserve price. Some people may say, no, Mike, I don't agree with you. It's yours. So, okay, well, tell me what you think it'll sell for, right? And you do your market analysis, because I've already done my market analysis. Most of my colleagues don't. They let the people price their own stuff. Me, I prefer to take their hand and make sure they're protected and that they're being advised accordingly. So there's usually anywhere from 25% is like a pretty much industry standard. If you've taken the time, like there's a knife maker, I waited 6 years to get the knife. 6 years. His price has gone up over those 6 years. His demand has gone up for those 6 years. Well, then I got the knife. Then I sent it out to be engraved. And that engraving cost more and more work and more time. Well, on a piece like that, a truly one-of-a-kind piece, the profit margin should be higher for sure. So, it could be 35, it could be 45, it could be 100% profit margin at that point. If you create a masterpiece that somebody else values and that they feel like, oh my God, that's like the cat's meow, I got to have it. Kind of like the knife with Ed Worms at that time. It was a $3,500 table price. He paid 10. No, Ron didn't make that profit margin, but the guy who bought it sure did.
Yeah.
So right there, was that almost 3 times? That's almost a 335, 7. If he would have sold for 10.5, he would have made 3 times his money. So that's a rarity. That's
Right.
not a common thing. But, when you look at like artwork, for instance, when you look at a Picasso, you look at a Dali, Dali's a probably poor example, but you look at a Chagall or you look at a Monet, look at how much canvas, how much paint, how much time went into that piece, and look how much money they're going for today. If you had the time to go back and commission Samuel Colt to make a revolver for you back in the day, would you have?
No way.
Yeah, right? So here's a time today to work with artisans, true American artisans that are making handmade pieces that you can commission. And if you don't feel comfortable connecting them directly, someone like me can help expedite it and make it happen. So.
Gotcha. Well, it's I could sit and talk to you for hours. I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like, we've covered a lot of ground today. I feel like we've kind of got brought through your journey to get us here. Is there anything that we're missing or anything else that you'd like to tell us about?
Without question. Nothing has any value without any exposure, any introduction to it. That's a repetitive thing that we talked about today, right? So yes, I'm here in Wake Forest. Yes, we have a showroom, we have a gallery. Most people have no idea what we do. I would highly recommend if they visit knifepurveyor.com, look around. Don't buy anything. Please don't buy anything, because how do you know what you're buying, right?